speculation, but we do have crews headed to the scene to try to get us more information. We're going to stay on this in the meantime. More on our breaking news right now. We continue to look at this mad scramble to try to save potential survivors of an airplane crash over Washington, D.C. That plane now in the icy waters of the Potomac River, fireboats on scene trying to get people out. Unclear what exactly sparked this crash. There's lots of different rumors online that are flying around about the size of this plane or what potentially led to this. We don't have things officially confirmed, so I don't want to go with any rumors or speculation. But we do have crews headed to the scene to try to get us more information. We're going to stay on this in the meantime.
Yeah, man, I am getting this. This is going on right now. Plane crash over DC. Let me get some graphics up here for you. Plane crash over DC. And so, again, I am getting some reports from on the ground, a couple blocks away from where this is taking place at in DC. So we're going to get right on it. I definitely encourage you, if you got family in DC, family and friends, call and check on them, just to, so you can rest easy. All right, let me open this thing here out to the public right here so everybody can get on this and get informed. And I'm getting some reports of now they're saying plane crash. Now I'm getting a report that it was a collision of some aircrafts. Okay, so that's why mine says collide. Now that can change because you know what I'm saying. This information is coming in hot right now. I'm talking to some people that's literally 4 blocks away from what's going on right there, and this is a active situation. Let me pull this thing up here so we can all get. All right, I'm trying to do a lot of different things. I wasn't planning to go live until this just happened. Again, if you're not following the podcast, please follow Andrew's the podcast. Hit the follow. We can definitely use the follows. Let's see. Let me get this here set up and share it out to the public. And then I'll get some audio going because I don't want to pull up too much video because it's gonna slow the stream down, and then we will not be able to get this breaking news. Now, I want you guys to write some stuff down because I'm gonna break some news to you. I'm giving you some information that is not out yet, right? And it's just gonna be, like I said, this is a collision. You're gonna find out now what happened. I don't know the details of it, but I do know the type of aircrafts that were involved. And if one of you guys listening could be my engineer tonight, and when I give you the types of aircraft, can you please pull up a picture of them and send them to me? If you can messenger them to me, then I can definitely get them up. All right. I'm trying to do 3 things at one time. Hold on a second. Let me get right. Let me share this out to the publico. Again, y'all, welcome to the broadcast. Edit the privacy. We got a situation going on actively in DC. And so, all right, cool. Let me calm it down a little bit here and share the screen to you guys. Live update, plane crash. And this is coming to us from CNN, one of the worldwide leaders. I don't know, CNN like to all right, let's get this on the screen for y'all so we can all be updated on this thing here. Again, this is a breaking news situation going on in DC right now. So, all right, Senator Jerry Morgan. Again, this is Kansas senator in contact with authorities about plane crash in Potomac River 5 minutes ago. Senator Jerry Morgan and Roger Marshall from Kansas say that they are in contact with authorities after news that a plane crashed in the Potomac River was coming from Wichita, Kansas. Learning that the plane inbound from Kansas was involved in the crash. Ooh. I am in contact with authorities. Morgan posted on X. Please join me in praying for all those involved. Marshall said he's seen reports of a collision. That's what with the DC helicopter. Okay, so they reporting that. So now I feel more comfortable giving you guys the type of helicopter, and I need somebody to look that up for me. Breaking news right here on Andrews the podcast. Okay, well, let's see what we got going on here. And I'm working on a story out of this. I saw this disturbing video on Facebook, and I looked it up and I saw it was linked to this Dr. Patterson. And I guess he's a band director or something. Boy, we're gonna break that down, but not tonight. Right now, we're gonna stay on this. But here's the type of helicopters I want you guys. If somebody would please help me and look this type of helicopter up, send me it, and we can keep it moving. So, the type of helicopter that we're looking at, the airplane crash, midair collision between the American Eagle 5342 N709 PS, and that's in parentheses, and a Hilo Army PAT-25 VH-60. Both aircraft are in the Potomac off Highway 33. Multiple DOAs. Search and rescue in progress. Now, I don't know if I could share that document with you guys because I don't need no knocks on the phone on the door tonight. Hey, where'd you get that information? From the internet. Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, so this is what's going on right now. We got that going on in DC. Let me see if I can get you guys some audio as to some live reports on the ground, and we'll see what they're saying. Let's see what they're talking about here. This is just showing video footage. Let me see if some of that'll work. We'll try now. If the video starts to act like it doesn't want to stream, then we're gonna go and do something else as far as with this information. But yeah, right now, two aircrafts, not planes. One's a helicopter, one's a plane in the Potomac River in DC. And now I'm gonna try and get you guys some live footage of the search and rescue that's going on. Again, in that little blurb that I got right there, you know, they were saying that this and then they were saying that there's multiple DOAs, dead on arrivals, and search and rescues in progress. Now, flight lead coming in and going out of DC, that flight could have some serious people on there. I mean, some serious people. So, you know, of course, at some point we'll find the flight manifest, the log, and we'll know passenger log, and we'll know exactly who was on that flight and their fate. All right, and what I want to be showing you guys now is some live footage from the scene, the rescue. Again, I'm gonna do a little less talking over here so that maybe that'll help. I think we're good on the stream, man. Again, and this is live footage right now out there in DC. This is the search and rescue going on right now. I'll find some audio here for us. Again, man, hit that like button, hit that share button so that we can share this information out, share this news out. Yeah, if you got family in DC or you just call and check on them, see, make sure everything is all right. I need some audio, man. I need some news. Where we at?
GW heading to Reagan National Airport is what it appears to be. So I'm not too sure in this area was it close enough to the water or wherever they're actually trying to search. We did see a number of them go inside, as you remember, but now this is the last boat right here that just came out.
All right, here it comes, y'all. Some audio to go with this.
Heading towards the airport right now. So we're keeping our eyes on this to see what exactly is taking place. But just as of 20 minutes ago, you could see a number of Fairfax County fire crews going inside the Potomac, but it looks like they've pulled out, getting back onto GW, heading straight towards Reagan National. So definitely a lot developing here in just about 20 minutes. This appeared to be the scene and where they were gathered, kind of like a staging area. But if you look right over here, there's not a boat in sight. Correct. When it comes to the water, there's nothing taking place here, but come over here behind me. There's just like the last of the two boats, and then we're going to pan against the left. There are still Fairfax County fire crews and trucks out here, but definitely not as many as we saw when we were coming in. When we were heading here about 30 minutes ago, it seemed like this was the location. That's how we got here. We literally followed the sirens. We came here, but now it looks like everyone's pulling back out, and I see more crews heading towards the airport. So I'm just not too sure what happens here. Again, if it wasn't close enough, if they didn't find anything, but it seems like they got the word to pull out, and now everyone's heading to Reagan National. So I'll keep my eye on that and see if it's something that we can even get to, or if there's a body of water possibly that they're going to, because again, they pulled the boats out. So a lot happening here, but I will say, go ahead.
Wow, I'm glad I'm recording this. This type of raw footage that gets lost sometimes because why are they? What's going on? So apparently they're headed back to the airport, according to this lady.
We're gonna try and follow. Yep, we'll have an update for you soon.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
that's just kind of raw. Let's just see what that is. Well, obviously, I'm broadcasting live across the scanner frequencies, and I just wanted to welcome you guys and update you what's going on here in podcast land. It's crazy what's going on over here in DC. Again, you're looking at live footage from I'm just gonna put now aircraft down because I don't know if it's in the river, which it looks like they're searching the river now. And the reports are very slow coming up on this thing here live. Let's see what we're talking about. It's not picking up a lot of traction. Can see.
Yeah, Victory 7. Correct.
All right, I'm seeing reports where it's saying that
I don't have any live video I
Go
can
ahead.
show you at this point. As soon as I get any,
All right,
I
hold
will
your time
certainly
to the MCI line.
show it to you.
Pretty Delta Airport. Copy that. The total count is 8.
I'm seeing 60 people.
One treated and released.
60 people on the plane. I'm just, and it's none of this is confirmed. Now I'm reading some stuff on a different site. As
Ted Cruz, Senator
Hey,
Ted
are you
Cruz says
available
there are
to pick up someone in
fatalities.
from 141?
Senator Ted Cruz says we know there are fatalities.
Aircraft. Copy, disregard.
Give me one moment here.
Engine 161 and engine 161 Bravo are on Harwood 4 and the boathouse.
Can see passenger jet
Copy,
collide
thank
with
you.
helicopter while landing at Reagan International Airport. That's from AP.
passenger jet collides with helicopter while landing at Reagan National Airport. That I don't know. That's hard to. Let's remove this here. Get this out of here. It's gonna start slowing us down. Let's remove you. Add this one.
Hello. Jesus Christ.
All right, and Mr. Briggs is on the ground down there. So
It's Jackie Benson. Are you coming to us again? Because I have some new information.
what kind of information you got, Jackie?
Okay, bye. They're coming to us after this, after Doug. Copy, Matt?
All right, passenger jet collides with helicopter while landing at Reagan National Airport. There is no immediate word on casualties, but all takeoffs and landings from the airport near Washington have been halted. And this is, again, you see this, guys. This is with the AP 12 minutes ago. Let's click on this to see if it gives us more details.
That's Bowling Air Force Base. The long lights is Wilson Bridge.
Okay.
So it's closer to Wilson Bridge.
Okay. Focus their area now. Yeah. What? Matt?
What's the focus of that?
Down there.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Okay. And that's Wilson Bridge?
Wilson Bridge.
Stop.
Air Force Base.
I just want to show you something that has happened here. This scene, what you're looking at down there, is the just to the left of the Wilson Bridge. That appears to be the area where everything is concentrated right now. And I am guessing from what Julie Carey said about the recovery of survivors, it is that area down there, south of the airport, that is where most of the rescue activity is focused right now. So we're hoping that is the area that they've located and have their rescue efforts ongoing. As Doug said, it is incredibly cold out here tonight. The wind is making the temperature seem much colder, and you just have really got a feel for what's going on down there.
So Thomas, you saying nobody died?
All these vehicles just trying to get down there and help these folks. So as soon as we get more information, we'll come back to sir. What?
Man, that's way off course for a helicopter to end up in a flight path like that. That is way off course. Way off course. When I say way off course, guys, I mean way off course. How did you get over there? Did you intentionally mean to be there? That one was way off course.
Change in one way or another, but it is a relief to know that this, in some form or fashion, appears to have been a survivable incident to a certain degree. Again, we have heard from a council member in DC who posted on X that 60 people approximately were on the commercial regional jet. Unknown how many may have been on the Black Hawk helicopter, those two aircraft colliding outside of Washington Reagan National Airport, DCA, just before the 9 o'clock hour. And Scotty Powell, I understand we've learned a little bit more about what the flight schedule was for this particular aircraft.
Yes, our friend Tim Buckley up in Greensboro, WFMY, has tweeted out that after this flight was to land in DC, it was going to be coming to Greensboro. So obviously that flight has been canceled. So as Ricky was talking about earlier, these are normally planes that kind of just commute to smaller areas. So from Wichita to DC and then DC to Greensboro, which probably would have been the last stop for the night. But that plane that was going to be leaving DCA to Greensboro, that was the plane, unfortunately, involved in this accident.
And that probably would have been their last flight of the night too. You know, typically an airliner will do, 3 or 4, maybe 5 hops in a day, depending on how long the flight is. There's different rules that apply to air crews in terms of they have to get so many hours of rest and things like that, and they can only work so many hours. So, that being their last flight of the day makes this flight into DCA not their last flight of the day, which suggests that, and I should say perhaps there was even they could have switched air crews and things like that as well. So lots of things to be answered in the coming days. And, for now, James and Scotty and everyone here, I think the information is just that we don't know a whole lot yet. And in the next couple hours, we'll know a lot more.
Yeah, there's lots of questions coming in on YouTube, and guys, we obviously have a lot of the same questions you do, and we don't know the answers to 99% of the questions being asked. Without getting too far down the speculation rabbit hole, Ricky, you were talking earlier, and Chris, I would be interested to hear your perspective too on this, on what flight data shows us about this flight. Again, we looked earlier at the path that it was taking, that green line that comes towards DCA and then terminates over the river, but we can see down below it flight altitude and flight speed. As we look towards the right-hand side of that line graph, would have been the last moments of the flight. Ricky, starting with you, do those lines indicate anything to you?
Nothing really more than just the aircraft was coming in to descend into the airport. I mean, it looks like a typical approach. They were up at 35,000 feet, started to make their descent, got to around 15,000 feet, leveled off for a second, and then continued on down. I'm looking at the wrong chart there, but so the green number, that's going to be your altitude, and the yellow will be your airspeed. And so your airspeed will vary a little bit, but they started their descent from 35,000, came down to that approach altitude of looks like a couple thousand feet, and then descended down from there. And based off of their location, they were probably no more than a couple hundred feet up in the air, maybe 500 feet up in the air, as they started to make that left turn there. They more than likely had the runway in sight. And so the pilots at that time, are obviously piloting the aircraft towards the runway. Depending on the weather conditions, there are scenarios where the pilots can basically use automated landing systems. But with the weather being what it is in DC tonight, perfectly fine, no issues at all. This would likely be a visual approach into the runway there. Still following some guidelines as to where they turn and everything like that, but kind of a visual approach to land there on runway 33.
Scotty, I'm still getting it queued up and ready to play here, but on X, there was a clipping of audio that you were going to have us play. Can you tell us what it is we're going to hear here in a moment?
Yeah, this is basically air traffic control reaching out. I didn't catch the fire department. I'm not sure if it's the airport fire department or one of the surrounding communities, but this is basically as after the event had just happened. This was the communication from air traffic control to local fire officials.
All right, we're going to play this. This was posted to X by Jacob Wyckoff. Chris, on the other side of it, would be interested in your translation of what it is we are maybe about to hear here.
Absolutely.
Command, the accident happened in the river. Both the helicopter and the plane crashed in the river. It's east of the approach end of runway 33.
Is the airfield closed?
Yes, the airfield is closed. The airfield is closed.
Runways as well?
Yes, all runways are closed. Nobody's landing. No one's moving at all.
And we have clearance across all taxiways and runways, correct?
Yes, you have clearance through the whole field, all taxiways and runways.
Chris, that appears to be the end of our recording there. Can you decode what we just heard?
Oh, absolutely. You got you have whoever's working the tower side of ATC is talking to probably the company officer, which would probably be a captain or a battalion chief on duty at Dulles, that's in charge of the response from the actual airport rescue firefighters that are stationed on the property. And what he's asking, basically he's getting the details at the beginning, and she's pretty clear when she says that there was an accident, both aircraft were in the river. and then he's requesting clearance to taxi to get out to the, I guess, the edge of the runway, the water's edge. And she gives him full permission to, all taxiways, all runways, ground stop, everything's shut down. And he's just confirming that just to make sure that.
But most certainly we know tragically there have been some people who lost their lives tonight.
Which is tough to take in at this moment. But a lot of folks are helping out with this effort in our region. We just learned a short time ago from WMATA's General Manager, Randy Clark. He says that they are sending warming buses to Dulles right now. That's where some of those planes are flights are being diverted as well tonight. So you're going to see a huge presence there. And also adding a few lines to the trains to the Silver Line to help folks who may be trying to get into town who are landing at Dulles instead.
Yeah, we cannot forget that as first responders are centered on what's happening right now in the water, there is still a terminal that's open. Reagan National was still open. And so people were expecting to leave the airport and go to their destinations, which is why you said those warming buses have been helping to get people to Dulles, where they can hopefully then get to their destinations. I think we've got a WFAA colleague that we're going to bring into the conversation
on the phone with us right now.
Hi, so I'm getting reports that
can you hear us?
Hey, there you are.
We can hear you.
That the divers are about to enter the water. One person was pulled out. Don't know whether that person's alive or dead or not, but one person was pulled out of the water. Again, it is extremely cold up in DC right now, so this is a delicate situation. And Thomas, if you're still watching, of course, you just heard the report, and that was from the station up in DC that just where I got that report of a casualty. And so that was done. Let me give them WUSA 9. But this is the situation on the ground. Let's go back to some of that audio from them too. I'm gonna be flipping through different audio.
All right, this is what we have to talk about right now, but we're primarily focusing on American Airlines. We know they are based in Dallas, which is where you are, and how they respond to these sorts of situations. What sort of insight can you give us?
Yeah, sure. American, like all major airlines, has go teams ready to go, emergency response teams that will be responding to this crash scene. I would bet departing to.
Oh, and the Trump administration rescinded the freeze order, guys. I told you it was trolling. It wasn't trolling. I called him last night and was like, T, come on, dog, a little too hard. He was like, too soon? I'm like, yes. I told him the last 90 days of his administration, shut it down. Again, this is the situation over DC, our nation's capital, near Reagan Airfield, where a military helicopter and a commercial jet, passenger jet collided. Getting reports now of.
They said a PSA Airlines CRJ-700 regional jet collided in midair with an H-60 helicopter while on approach to runway 33 at Reagan Washington National Airport around 9 p.m. local time. PSA was operating flight 5342 as American Airlines. It departed from Wichita, Kansas, and the FAA and NTSB will investigate. The NTSB will lead the investigation. We will provide updates as information comes in. Now, American Airlines has another statement here. They say, we're aware of reports that American Eagle Flight 5342, operated by PSA with service from Kansas to Washington Reagan National Airport, has been involved in an incident. We will provide information as it becomes available. An absolutely devastating scene that we're seeing there. And I bet that everyone at this point is really wondering how those victims are at this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Ariel Hickson, thank you so much for that update. We just want to be clear here that we're still working to get the details, but it appears that the helicopter crashed into the plane when this explosion happened. Again, there are going to be a lot of questions as to why the helicopter did or did not see the plane, how that collision happened, especially so close to the airport.
Let's go to Mark Seagraves, who moved locations. He's now at Dangerfield Island, which is
right
across Potomac Yard. Mark, tell us what you're seeing from your new vantage point.
Yeah, we're going to point you straight up in the air. We have 2 helicopters that we can see that are doing a search, a grid search of this area of the Potomac River here. Again, we are at Dangerfield Island at the Washington Sailing Marina. This is south now. We're south of Reagan National Airport. And this is where we see 2 helicopters in the air conducting a grid search of this area. When we look along the shoreline, of course, just as we were seeing from Gravelly Point, first responders, flashing lights up and down on the bridges and along the shorelines. We are directly across from Joint Anacostia Bowling, where we know is the command post for the first responders who have been handling this mission here tonight. I can tell you that I've been on the phone with Mayor Bowser's office. She is headed to the command center and being briefed and kept apprised of the operation. And again, as you were saying before, still a lot of things we just don't know that we're waiting to get answers for. But just to show how fluid this situation is, just minutes ago when we talked to you, we were north of Reagan Airport at Gravelly Point with just a massive first responder response in that area. That entire crews, all those units quickly left that area and headed south. We did see some of them as we came down here had deployed onto Reagan National Airport campus in some of the satellite parking lots. And then as we made our way back to the river, we are here now again on Dangerfield Island directly across from Joint Anacostia Bowling. But you can see coming in right above us now, one of the helicopters that is doing this search. And you can see their spotlight trained down on the river as they go from side to side, up and down the river. I now count, I believe, 3 helicopters in the air here over this area of the Potomac River, one almost coming directly over us as we speak. So this is a huge search area. It's dark, it's late, it's cold. They have a lot of obstacles before them. And as you can see, they are putting every resource they have in this region toward this response, because we can see nothing but flashing red lights up and down the coast line of the water. And I believe if we pan out
Lester Holt in New York as we continue our NBC News coverage of this plane accident of an apparent collision between a commercial regional jet, an American Airlines regional jet, and what is this?
Worried people tonight as we continue to look at these live pictures outside of DCA Airport here. The flashing lights out in the distance showing us the ongoing response to this emergency, which the FAA is again saying in their statement. A PSA Airlines Bombardier CRJ 700 regional jet collided in midair with this, and I'm going to say the name of the helicopter wrong. Ricky, can you say it right for me?
It is a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter while on approach to runway 33 at Reagan Washington National Airport around 9 p.m. local time. That's Eastern time here in the United States. PSA was operating as flight 5342 for American Airlines. It departed Wichita, Kansas. The FAA and the NTSB will investigate. The NTSB will lead the investigation. More updates to come, as I'm sure we are hearing over and over again tonight. One of the, I think, probably biggest questions that we're still trying to get an understanding of is who was on the military aircraft, because the potential there is far ranging. A Washington Post reporter citing
his sources says no senior U.S. officials were aboard the Black Hawk helicopter at the time of tonight's collision over the Potomac, according to a senior defense official that he spoke to. Again, we can't confirm that. That's just one reporter from the Washington Post. So we'll kind of wait to maybe find out more information from the government, more information from American Airlines. Chris, there's a new link for you to address here in chat. What type of tracker are we looking at here?
Yeah, basically, I just sent a link from the raw ADS-B data from the actual military helicopter. There's a few sites that you can use that don't filter data, and if you know where to look, you can find stuff like this. But that's the actual track of the Black Hawk that was reported to be the accident aircraft involved with the PSA CRJ 700.
I feel like I should point out that the website is using a plane icon, but this is in fact the track as we best understand it for the helicopter, which would have been traveling south versus the regional commercial jet, which was on approach heading north. If I were to oversimplify these cardinal directions here, with them colliding here just off of, I think, what we've identified as runway 33 at Reagan Airport.
That's correct. And if and you can actually interrogate that data track a little bit, James. If you click on the K button on the side panel there,
okay,
you can actually see the times and the altitude and the airspeed.
Okay, so let me ask you, our aviation experts tonight, looking at this Black Hawk helicopter's track, it looks like it was somewhere between 200 and 300 feet as it made its way along the Potomac. We're speculating, but based on your knowledge, is that altitude and that path something that a helicopter would frequently take?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Just for, from my personal info, yeah, absolutely. And you can. What's really interesting is it from its origin, which I'm not going to get into that. From its origin location, it flies south down the Potomac, which is also directly on a visual approach to runway 19 at Reagan. If the wind was different for the commercial aircraft. I mean, what he's flying looks just as you would expect, because you can't go east of the Potomac River in Washington unless you're somebody really important, because of the restricted area, around the sensitive sites like the White House, the U.S. Capitol building, and stuff like that.
Ricky, how would these two aircraft, for lack of a better term, pass each other in an approach to an airport such as DCA?
I mean, I don't really know, James. I mean, you would think in theory there would be sequencing at play to where the ATC folks would be like, okay, make your turn a little bit wider. Let's put this helicopter through first, or tell a helicopter to deviate somewhere else.
But air traffic control would be trying to coordinate this dance.
Yes. That would be ideally what would be happening. At nighttime, you think about seeing things in the day, and aircraft have lights and they flash, but there's a lot of lights in the DC area, and a helicopter flying at 300 feet is going to blend in with a lot of those lights. And it's going to be incredibly hard sometimes to spot the other things. Like you can see in that traffic camera we had up a second ago. That flashing light there is probably either one of the helicopters in the air or another airliner that's having to go somewhere else. But that's kind of what they look like. But obviously, you're looking at it from the ground looking up. Imagine being in the air, potentially higher than that light, looking down. And so you see all these little teeny lights moving. Some of them are cars, some are airplanes. And that's just to say, it can be incredibly hard to spot another aircraft at night. And your eyes also don't work as well at night. You have to do different scanning methods, basically where you scan different sectors of the sky. So think about, okay, I'm going to look 20 degrees that way, and then stop, and then kind of look again, and try and give your eyes time to focus on whatever's in that sector versus just like looking quickly left and right, and then you don't see the smaller lights. When you are in bright environments, same concept of, when we have meteor showers and we tell you to give your eyes a little bit of time to adjust to the darkness. Well, same thing. You're in a busy light area, your eyes are a little less sensitive and so they don't see sometimes dimmer lights as well. So lots of things that could have been at play here once again, but no matter what happened, now we're dealing with the impacts and the aftermath of an aircraft that's down in the water on a chilly January night.
We have a second reporter from a verified news agency, Jennifer Griffin here at Fox News, also reporting what we told you moments ago from the Washington Post, which is that no senior officials were aboard the Black Hawk helicopter that crashed into the American Airlines flight. It's too early for us to know the individuals who may have been amongst the manifest of the commercial flight. Certainly don't want to put any more emphasis on the cost or the value of a life of a U.S. official versus a U.S. citizen, not trying to delineate the difference between those two things. What NBC News is reporting at this hour is that the American Airlines flight operated by PSA had 60 passengers on board and 4 crew. We've been talking here tonight on our weather podcast about the conditions up there in D.C. And Frank Strait, I don't know if you had a chance to look at this yet, but Tim Buckley, a chief meteorologist in Greensboro, put out this map showing the likely ice concentration of these cold waters. What do you make of this? You might be muted there, Frank.
There we go. Not muted anymore.
Yeah, we got
you. Pull the Scotty has to happen.
That's what we call it here.
Yeah. Anyway.
If anything, about the people who are being taken out of the water? Do we know what condition any of them are in?
I haven't heard anything about conditions other than they're alive, which, my God, thank God for that, given what we've seen on the screen from the nature of the collision. But there are undoubtedly a number of dead as well that the authorities are preparing for. The dive teams remain active in the water. A DC Metro Police and area responders are coming to aid along with the military, given the proximity of the Pentagon. You're right, Phil. Though runway 33 at Reagan National is not often used, Reagan itself is the busiest runway in the country. It's a nonstop operation because it's so busy. There's no private planes that usually land there. And this was a commercial jet with about 60 people on board from Wichita operating under the American Airlines banner that was coming in for landing on final approach when that collision occurred.
And Aaron, you reported just now 60 passengers, 4 crew. I'm being told that there were 3 soldiers on board that helicopter, 2 pilots and a crew chief. And we were speaking to Steve not long ago, and he said, that H-60 Black Hawk could be carrying 9 to 12 people. In other words, it had the capacity to carry more people. I mean, I'm trying to look for silver linings this evening, and there were 3 terrific. There were 3 soldiers on board, 64 people on the plane. We just don't know yet how many people have been taken from the water. We are hoping certainly that they get everybody that they can. I want to bring in Alex Perche, who's on the phone from DC as well. Alex, where are you? And tell me what you're seeing.
Hey, Phil. So we are on the upper level of DCA. If you're familiar with this airport, it's the arrivals level.
Views like this to this.
In between Terminal 1 and Terminal 2. And it gives you a pretty good vantage point for where this first responder response is happening. I can tell you, I'm about a 10-minute drive from the airport, and on the north-hand side, as you kind of come around to go through arrivals, there was a massive staging area. We saw fire trucks. We saw police cars for different agencies. We saw swift water rescue boats, dive teams gearing up. They had shut down that north side part of Gravelly Point, and now we've seen that caravan of first responder vehicles make its way over here to this south side near this runway 33 where this collision happened. I can tell you that they have shut down the airport. There are people that are directing traffic away from arrivals or just allowing media in. But I mean, obviously, you know, for a Wednesday night in DC, for those that were around this area when it happened, it's definitely a shock. I can tell you that, you know, one eyewitness that we talked to, he said that, you know, he had been tracking at least the aircraft flight on FlightAware, and he could actually see a fireball during that collision, and he could hear the thud, and you can just imagine just how jarring a noise like that would be. You can probably hear a lot of the stuff that's going on in the background. You know, again, it's kind of a frantic situation here, but the response going on across from the other side of the airport right now is very, very, very big, and things are shut down here at DCA.
And we're being told that this Black Hawk was coming from Fort Belvoir, Virginia. I want to bring back in our aviation expert, Steve Ganyard. Steve, we're slowly starting to piece this puzzle together as we're looking at the EarthCam video of the actual moment of impact. We now know that this Black Hawk was carrying 3 soldiers. We know that there were 60 passengers, 4 crew members on board that plane. We know that this helicopter, this chopper, was coming from Virginia, the regional jet coming from Wichita, Kansas. Now that you're getting sort of a better picture of who's involved in this crash, have you been able to piece anything else together in people you're talking to and the video that we've been showing?
Yeah, Phil, a couple thoughts. Fort Belvoir, for those who don't know, is an Army airfield just south on the Potomac, just south of Mount Vernon. And so it makes sense that whatever this Black Hawk helicopter had been doing, was it at the Pentagon? Was it somewhere else? Was it up at Camp David? It was coming down the river, and it was obviously heading back to, because what we see in the video is that helicopter is heading south while the regional jet is landing to the northwest. So again, for folks who aren't pilots, when we say runway 33, that's the magnetic heading. So 360 on a compass is north. So runway 33 is just 30 degrees off of a true northerly heading. So that sort of gives you an idea of the way that the aircraft, the regional aircraft, was coming in. Another thing to think about here, Phil, is I looked it up, and the maximum altitude that any helicopter can be while it's over around DC is 200 feet. So oftentimes, anybody that's been to DC, you've seen helicopters just coming down the river at 100 feet, maybe even lower. And so they like to stay low during the daytime. But at nighttime, it's very uncomfortable to fly over water because the water has no reflection. You can't see. There's no reflection. That means there's no depth perception. And so pilots sort of like to come up off the water. It's just not very comfortable. Even on night vision goggles, you don't have any depth of perception. So if this helicopter was at 200 feet, that's about where the regional jet was when the collision happened. So maybe the helicopter was within where it should have been, just that it should have understood that there was runway operations going on runway 33. Perhaps they didn't know about that. But as of now, if that collision occurred at 200 feet and below, then you would think that the Army helicopter was below the altitude it should have been at, which is fine, but they weren't certainly supposed to be in the approach corridor of an active runway.
And Steve, I'm just getting a statement in from the president. I want to read this for our viewers. It says, I've been fully briefed on the terrible accident which just took place at Reagan National Airport. May God bless their souls. Thank you for the incredible work being done by our first responders. I am monitoring the situation and will provide more details as they arise. That is from President Trump. We spoke to Rachel Scott, who has been in contact with the White House. We've heard a similar statement from the vice president. We know that some of these new cabinet positions, Kristi Noem at Homeland Security, they are all monitoring this right now. I have Martha Raddatz on with us as well. Martha, I know you've been in contact with the military. What can you tell us?
Welcome to Clean Feed, your gateway to elevated online events, specializing in multi-camera live streaming production. We redefine online content with superior quality. Elevate your online events with Clean Feed, and stand out in a world of high-quality production. Join us for a seamless blend of technology and creativity. Cleanfield, high-quality streaming.
Pentagon on one side and very close to Reagan Airport, very restricted airspace. But you know, Phil, very well, if you live in D.C., there are Black Hawk helicopters quite frequently down the river and other helicopters as well. Obviously, the presidential Marine One goes down the Potomac as well. But the big question is, what was that helicopter doing there tonight in very low light, and why it was in the path of that airplane?
Martha, in your experience, we've gotten some information, a good deal of information from the military pretty quickly on in this well, it's not people are investigating, but in this incident. What are you expecting to hear from the military? How will they? I mean, they've told us that there was nobody on that helicopter outside of the 3 soldiers. How long do you think it will take for us to get more information about why the Black Hawk was there, why it was not visible to the jet, the regional jet?
Well, I think, first of all, they want to get the facts out and they want them to be accurate, but they will get them out as quickly as possible. They just do not want to put any information out that is wrong at this point. But they do want the public to know as soon as possible why that helicopter was there, what that mission was. If they had just dropped someone off at the Pentagon or somewhere nearby and were returning to Fort Belvoir, all of that will be something they will look at and look at very quickly. And frankly, the information that we've gotten so far came quicker than information normally does from the Pentagon. And that is because they realized quickly that it was that kind of a flight. They did that all call to see if all senior Army leadership was accounted for and got that out as quickly as they could. So I think they are working nonstop to try and find out what they can. They certainly are concerned about that crew, whether the crew survived the ditching in the Potomac or not. That is really foremost on their mind at this point. If in fact they did, they can find out a lot more, obviously.
All right, Martha, we are just getting a statement in from Pete Hegseth. We all covered that that confirmation hearing. He was confirmed on Friday as head of the Department of Defense, actively monitoring, he says, poised to assist if needed. Prayers for all involved. Steve, I'd like to bring you back in and talk a bit more about, I mean, you've been up there, you've flown, you said you've seen incidents like these. What are some of the missions that the military, Martha talked about some of them, what are some of the missions that the military is flying Black Hawks up and down the Potomac for?
Yeah, Phil, could be anything. I mean, you think about the military presence in Washington and you think about the military responsibilities, everything from extracting Congress in the event of some sort of a terrorist attack, the ability to move senior officials in and out of Washington. The Marine One is responsible for the president in the White House, but there's lots of other helicopter movement that goes on every day and every night. And as Martha said, those of us who live around DC, you hear the helicopters at any time, and you hear the blades and that very recognizable Black Hawk sound, almost like the Huey sound from Vietnam days. And so we're quite aware of that. There's lots of that going on, but it's rarely that it becomes a problem. The rules for flying around DC are pretty straightforward. And again, the question here tonight is, if that helicopter was at or below 200 feet, then that's where it should have been. But the question is, why was it close to the approach corridor of an active runway? And we've said this a couple times tonight, runway 33 is not often used. Was there a thought within the cockpit of that Army helicopter that, well, that's not the runway in use. We've never seen any aircraft landing on that runway. We see
Year-old grandfather shot and killed while inside his car.
His family pleading for answers.
Former Chicago Alderman Ed Burke asking the Trump administration to commute his sentence.
Near record warm temperatures tomorrow, but then I'm trying.
this a rescue operation turns to an investigation in the hours ahead. This has been a unexpected special live edition of the Carolina Weather Group. We were in the midst of our weekly show covering weather, science, and technology here in the Carolinas. We were talking about ongoing wildfires that are.
Or at 11, we are following breaking news tonight. An American Airlines commercial plane and a helicopter, a Black Hawk helicopter, collided near Reagan National Airport about 2 hours ago. Right now, there is a massive emergency response to search for survivors.
What we know at this point is that an American Airlines employee has told us that there are 60 passengers on board and 4 crew members. We know that there is a staging area at Reagan National Airport right now as investigators try to gather more information and give family members who are waiting word on their loved ones more information about what happened. This flight was coming in from Wichita, Kansas, and it was about to be a 2-hour and 35-minute flight expected to land just before 9 o'clock here at Reagan National.
Let's check in now with our transportation reporter, Adam Tuss.
Flight 5342.
Tonight.
Those are
This
the
is
direct
just,
words from Virginia's Attorney General, Jason Miyares. That is the first indication. We are now looking northeast toward Joint Base Anacostia Bowling. That's where you see the red lights off in the distance, where this possibly may have been the site of where the rescue operations started to be underway. Again, limited information at this hour, but let's just, again, rehash here. Shortly after 9 o'clock, DC Fire says small aircraft down near Reagan National, takeoffs, landings halted. Those rescues underway. Now, I will point out, Virginia's Attorney General, Jason Miyares, just said this on X, Twitter, quote, "Prayers for our first responders and the crew and passengers of American Airlines Flight 5342. Those are the direct words from Virginia's Attorney General, Jason Miyares. That is the first indication of any possible specific type of aircraft from a public official. And this is obviously a very high-ranking public official. We do not know what kind of information the Attorney General has been given, where he got it from. Notable that he has just put that out, saying that this allegedly involved an American Airlines flight. Reagan National is a hub for American flights. If you ever see the tarmac, the sea of American planes that are here, we would know that they're all halted right now, takeoffs and landings. There's also some video that we're trying to source down, apparently from the Kennedy Center earlier tonight. Video from the Kennedy Center looking in this direction, just east of Reagan, that showed what looked like an explosion over the river. That's what we know at this hour. The scene that you're looking at is exactly what is underway. We're told from officials that water rescue is happening. How many people might be involved, we don't know. So as you continue to look at the wide first responder presence around Reagan National, this gives you obviously a sense of the seriousness here. And we're going to stay here on site at Dangerfield Island, south of Reagan, to bring you all the latest live information that we have from officials as it comes in, as well as what we're seeing overhead, hearing overhead, and looking off across the Potomac River, where we know this water rescue is underway. Chris?
We saw and heard the helicopters, of course, in your live shot there. Can you see any rescue boats where you are right now from DC Fire or any other agencies out there?
No, from where we are at, we do not see any specific boats just south of the airport. But what I will say, on the way in from Gravelly Point, that popular lookout park where people like to set up and watch the planes land and take off from Reagan National, I did see fire department boat groups, crews, if you will, that were staged there. That could have possibly been a launch location. There were several different boat racks that were there at the time, but off in the distance, this is quite a ways away. This is at least half a mile off into the distance, maybe even a mile onto the other side of the river in Prince George's County, of where these crews appear to be concentrating right now on these separate scenes. It appears that there are at least 2, possibly 3 different scenes where first responders are staged right now. Chris?
And Ben Dennis will be checking back with you, obviously, momentarily. Hang tight there with new information. And again, if you're just tuning in, we have breaking news out of Reagan National, where there has been an aircraft that has crashed there at DCA, the airport, saying it stopped all takeoffs and landings after that aircraft crashed on the airfield. The terminals, though, are still open right now. This is looking at video from a viewer that sent into DC News Now from, it looks like, the top of their apartment in Arlington. You can see the huge response and the lights there from first responders on the right and left of your screen there. DC Fire and EMS saying they have a massive response as well. They said an aircraft went down in the Potomac, and they have fire boats on the scene as we look at more video from a DC News Now viewer. So, as Ben alluded to, there appears to be two different crash sites, perhaps even more. Nothing confirmed, of course, at this hour. But Ben did see, fire crews staging with their boats as we take a live look from our rooftop camera here in Georgetown in D.C. as we look back at Reagan National Airport. Again, about 9 o'clock, D.C. Fire and EMS tweeting out that an aircraft went down. And take a look at this. This is FlightAware's airport tracker. And you can see no flights right now. None at all going in and out of D.C. But there are, if you look closer, there are some helicopters over the river right where that plane reportedly went down. Again, this is a live look right now at FlightAware's airport tracker. This time of night, of course, it would be, it'd be full of planes. But again, a live look at the airport. We will continue to follow this breaking story here on DC News Now. Our Max Marcilla is also making his way to the scene as well. And again, we don't know how many scenes there are or how close our reporters and our crews can get to the airport or to the Potomac. Imagine they'd have the George Washington Parkway and the surrounding areas shut down at this hour as they try to just flood that area with first responders. Okay, I'm just receiving word on Twitter, now known as X. DC police tweeting out that their helicopter, DC helicopter, is not involved in this crash. There was a lot of speculation on Twitter that perhaps it was a DC helicopter, DC police helicopter, but right now, DC police just tweeting out seconds ago, they are confirming that is not one of their DC police helicopters involved in this crash at and near DCA Airport, near Reagan National Airport.
All right, I'm getting ready to upload some actual video. This is a still shot of the crash, but I'm about to upload a video of the reported crash of the Army Black Hawk and the passenger jet. All right, let's go get it.
Hearing right now is very preliminary. I want to make that very clear. This is all information that is very preliminary, and we are trying to get as much information as we can right now from the airport, from the airlines, from the agency that was in charge of that helicopter, from all of it. Media is assembling here at the airport, and I can tell you just for myself, I had to run over here. I couldn't even get into the airport. I could get to about Route 1 in Crystal City and then had to park my car and run over here to come meet my photographer and get on the air. So obviously an active situation. We're going to be here all night, guys. This is looking grim, to say the least, and we'll get all the details that we can get for you. Back to you.
Adam, you really set the stage for us because we know you know that airport so well in all your years of reporting. It's also restricted airspace there. And the fact that the Black Hawk and aircraft collided midair, can you talk about how interesting, unique, and mysterious that is?
I mean, it happens every day. And that the fact that all of these aircraft are moving around our region, anyone who lives here in the DMV knows that there are constant helicopters flying above from military operations. There are planes landing all the time. There are planes that go to Dulles Airport that fly through this airspace that traverse this area. So it is a very closely coordinated dance. There's a Coast Guard helicopter that is all the time flying here at Reagan National Airport. So it's not like this isn't something that happens out of the blue. The White House isn't far from here. You've got Marine One that's flying here all the time. So that part of it definitely needs to be understood. What happened here where this plane was able to get this close enough to a helicopter in this airspace, which is so closely restricted. A lot of times we'll try to fly drones around here as part of our News 4 coverage. We can't even get inside the Beltway to fly any drone because we have to regulate that with the FAA. We have to file that with the FAA. So we can't even do that kind of stuff inside here. And everything is so closely coordinated. But again, this is a very busy airport, and it is from 6 a.m. till 2 a.m. It is constantly sending planes out of here. It is a very busy space. And so clearly something went wrong here, and we need to learn a lot of the details. And again, guys, I want to stress so much of this is preliminary. This just happened. We have to learn more about what happened.
Indeed, we do. The NTSB right now saying they are launching an investigation team to the crash site very, very soon. Adam Tuss, thank you so much. News 4's Mark Seagraves is at a new location now with more information. Mark, you were able to give us more details about where they believe this plane and this helicopter went down.
Yeah, that's right. I am on Dangerfield Island at the Washington Sailing Marina on the Virginia side. Take a look up in there. There are 3 helicopters. We've been seeing 3 helicopters going up.
My understanding is that
doing a grid search of the Potomac River, mostly focusing on the shoreline on the other side of the river from us along Joint Base Anacostia Bowling. And if you push in, if I ask Beth Brown, our photojournalist, to push in over there on the shoreline, you can see that massive response of first responders on that shoreline along Joint Base Anacostia Bowling. What I am told by 2 first responder sources who are on the scene there right now, they tell me that the plane itself crashed in about 7 feet of water and split into 2, and that divers from both DC Police Department and the DC Fire Department are in the water and are actively searching the wreckage of that plane as we speak. Again, that
My
in about 7
understanding is
feet
that
of
the
water on the shoreline closer to Joint Base Anacostia Bowling. The helicopter, I'm told by those same sources, is in the same proximity. It is upside down in the water, and the way they described it is that it bounces up and down, and sometimes it comes above the surface and sometimes it goes below. They're telling me that the helicopter is not stable enough to have divers make entry to yet. When I spoke to them about 15 minutes ago, but they had made entry into the plane, which again, sources are telling me had split in 2. Again, right now, if we look in the air, we can see at least 2 helicopters with their spotlights flashing down on the river. We also see several boats in the river. Again, most of this activity focusing on the opposite side of the river from where we are along Joint Base Anacostia Bowling. And I will tell you, as I was up in Falcon 1, the DC police helicopter, just about a week ago, doing a ride along with these officers who are most likely in that chopper above us right now doing this search. And I can tell you they were keenly aware.
Here's Lester Holt. Good evening, everyone. We're coming on the air with breaking news. The crash of a major airline flight, the first we've seen in the United States in more than 15 years. Here's where things stand right now. The FAA has confirmed that an American Airlines regional jet carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members collided
My understanding is that the
Are you good? Yeah. How we doing? Are you able to zoom in and get some shots? You hungry? Me too. What do you want to eat? Hold on. What you say? Nothing. Only thing is at some point in the night, I'm gonna have to go get. How long are we supposed to be here? It says we're gonna be live all night, so I don't know. What? That's what Paul said. Where? Dangerfield. We got a crew there. He's so good.
my understanding
decades-long dispute between the town of Andrews and Georgetown County. The town filed a lawsuit against the county in 2021, claiming they had not given them the full amount of money promised in their 2014 penny sales tax referendum. Anna Harris breaks down the story.
With a municipal complex sitting here half done in the town of Andrews.
Operations has been constrained.
This building is meant to house the Andrews Fire and Police Departments, but according to a 2021 lawsuit, the construction had to stop because the town claims they stopped receiving the funding they were promised from the 2014 Georgetown County penny sales tax revenue. Documents state $1.5 million of that revenue was estimated to go towards the municipal complex, but when the county was collecting the total, they ended up having nearly $13 million over what they estimated. Plus, McCleary says their complex ended up costing over double what was expected. In turn, the lawsuit claims the county did not fund the full cost of the rest of the project, counting the extra money as surplus to go elsewhere.
It's not the penny sales tax that we have an issue. We have an issue with the management of it.
The county's ordinance states the money collected in excess must be first applied to complete a project the tax was imposed for.
But because they felt that they've met the obligation with the town of Andrews, they cut us off.
Now it's time for the two to face off in court. That date has been set for March 17th of next year. Georgetown County says they do not comment on pending litigation, but also say they paid Andrews the original $1.5 million twice. Now, McCleary was able to provide me with those receipts, but he also says they're still short about $2.7 million to finish that project. The lawsuit also claims $7 million of that surplus was set to go towards individual county council members for their own district projects.
So all of these things that are listed on here in this $7 million, they're telling me that this is more important than the lives of the people in this building and the people that come here for service. That's a problem.
In Andrews, Anna Harris, Live 5 News.